Okay, before we start an announcement, tomorrow, the day after tomorrow, and then day after tomorrow, Bhujan Prabhu is coming. He's a very senior disciple of Prabhu. He's been living in Vrindavan for many years. He's been preaching, of course, mostly in Australia and Hong Kong and some of the other places. He wrote several books. So he will be giving one seminar on, I guess that will be on Govardhan Lila, pastimes with Indra, next 3 days. So those classes will be in Vrindavan Hall 6 to 8, something like this. So if you can try to come next 3 days. I'm not sure about Saturday, what will happen, but I guess you can still have your program and then just switch if you want to decide if you. I'm not sure if you're gonna get prasadam on Saturday. You might have to attend the other program also. So that we'll see. Okay. Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya Nityananda Jai Advaita Chandra Jai Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Shri Chaitanya Jai Nityananda Jai Advaita Chandra Jai Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya Jai Nityananda Jai Advaita Chandra Jai Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Reading from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adilila Part 1, Chapter 4, entitled The Confidential Reasons for the Lord's Appearance. That's text 57. Okay. Se dui eka ebe Chaitanya Gosani rasa asvarite donhe aila ekathani. Translation, there's no purport. Now, to enjoy rasa, they have appeared in one body as Lord Chaitanya. Om Gyana Timidam Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Krishna Bhutavishim Tripaktirana Swamitinam Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaurava Chavanda Vishesha Shunamaru Mr. Harini Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shiva Terada Shri Hare Krishna 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 Hare Rama Hare. So what did we discuss last Wednesday? How did we come to this verse? What was described? Nobody? Yes.
Same but also different. And you gave the example of last topic.
No, I gave example of Prabhupada. What?
Proper example. Like Prabhupada gives example of sun and sunlight, how they are.
Okay. So we discussed about Radha and Krishna. We discussed about how they are simultaneously one and simultaneously different. Okay, something along that line. Yes, so anything else? Yes?
One should consider Srimati Radharani as an elder friend to guide, not as a mother, because that is not a mode of God. Yes, something.
Okay, fine. Shiva?
In the sense of Upanishads and Bhagavad Gita and Vedanta Sutra.
So what's the point?
We don't need
No, that's the goal of Upanishad.
Yes. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is goal of Upanishad. Yeah, Bhagavad Gita is the essence of Upanishads. Okay, so anything else? Yes?
Without a recommendation of Srimati Radharani, one cannot approach before that one should try.
Okay, we cannot approach so easily, we have to become qualified. That was the idea, what we discussed. Just like today, there's a big program in Haridwar temple. No? And even some leading devotees, they will not be able to approach the chief guest of the opening. Yeah. So I heard some of them will have to be home or house, how they call it, arrested. They'll not be able to come out. They say, what's the point of being there? You know? And some people will come to a Pandal program, but it's not easy. It's not easy to approach. One has to be qualified and has to have a real good reason, real some purity qualification. So what to speak? But Srila Prabhupada uses the same example. It's not so easy to see Prime Minister. It's not so easy to see any big person. But we think that it's so easy then to approach Krishna. We have to become qualified. And that's why Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj, he said that we should not try to see Krishna, we should act in such a way that Krishna wants to see us. We should act in such a way that Krishna wants to see us. Who is that person? Who is, no, that's Who is that person that is doing such a nice service? No,
Krishna has to be there.
Lord, you have to be such a person doing such a nice service. No, be surrendered, and then, of course, Guru will recognize. When Guru recognizes, then all Parampara will recognize. Then Radharani will recognize. Then you will be introduced to Krishna. Many times we have the mentality, the attitude of, no, I will push myself. I will jump in front of Krishna, so Krishna will see me, or something. That doesn't work like that. It's by recommendation. We can do whatever we want to do. That's not. It's recommendation comes by those who are close to Krishna, and we already discussed that those who serve Krishna closely, they know what Krishna desires, but they know what Krishna likes. So if we want to be in Krishna's association, then we have to qualify for that. Same like you want to be in association. Somebody wants to be in your association. You will not allow anyone to be in your association unless you want them to do what you like to do and what you prefer and appreciate and so forth. If they have some other nature, or they have some other priorities, or you won't want them to be in your association. But the same way, if we want to be Krishna's association, then we have to learn and we have to qualify what Krishna wants. And of course, but what Krishna wants, that's the topmost, and that includes everybody else. Because what we want might include so many things, but it will not include Krishna. That's the problem. That's why we don't fit. It's not so difficult to qualify, but our qualification should be that we include Krishna, which we generally don't do. Okay, anything else from last time?
What about some stories of
Raise your hand. How many times I have to say?
stories of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? He got his golden forward.
Okay, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu exhibiting some. No, it's Krishna exhibiting of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Anyway. Okay, fine. So let's read. There are a few texts here which don't have purport. So to enjoy rasa, they have appeared in one body as Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So the next it says, therefore I shall first delineate the position of Radha and Krishna. From that description, the glory of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will be known. So that's very interesting. Now we've come to find out about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And what did we say last time? This description is given by whose mercy? By whose writing do we have an opportunity to hear about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Who were the two close associates of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu who noted those pastimes down? Yes. Reading. That's one. And then another? Yes.
Yes, Murari Gupta.
Okay, Murari Gupta. Okay. Close associates. So Srimati Radhika is the transformation of Krishna's law. She is his internal energy called Hladini. 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 Short eye and long eye. Hladini. Yes. So then, okay. There are basic three categories. Now we're in 60. Now we're going to learn 60. No purports here. So there are three basic categories: Sandhini, Samvit, and Hladini. Krishna's potencies, Krishna's internal energies, spiritual energies, which then transform themselves into material world, into sattva, rajas, and tamas. That's transformation of those energies in the material world. So Hladini is represented by Srimati Radharani. Okay, so here it said that Hladini energy gives Krishna pleasure and nourishes his devotees. That's very interesting. That she gives the pleasure to Krishna. Krishna's energy, just like we said, sun and sun rays. But it also nourishes his devotees. That's very interesting. Let's see what Srila Prabhupada is saying. Srila Jiva Goswami has elaborately discussed the Hladini potency in his Priti Sandarbha. He says that the Vedas clearly state only devotional service can lead one to the personality of Godhead. Only devotional service can help a devotee meet the Supreme Lord face to face. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is attracted by devotional service, and as such, the ultimate supremacy of Vedic knowledge rests in knowing the science of devotional service. What is the verse in Bhagavad Gita? Actually, there are many verses in Bhagavad Gita. Anybody knows any verse which talks about the same subject? That only devotional service can help a devotee meet the Supreme Lord face to face. Here, anybody knows? That will be the Bhagavad Gita. Bhaktyamama vijanati yavanashasmi tatvadaha tatomam tattvato gyatva vishuddhatadanantaram. There are many verses actually. In every chapter, practically, Krishna is glorifying the process of bhakti. But what bhakti? What is there in the world? What is it that we can offer to Krishna? What is it that we can give to Krishna? What is it? He has it all, no? He will be impressed by what? What can we give him? What do we have to give him? We have nothing practically. So insignificant. But one thing he doesn't have. So, because then you touch Shastra and then becomes a kind of. Don't worry, Prabhupada will also do the same thing. Okay, so what is it that we can give to Krishna? What is it that Krishna doesn't have? He has everything. He is the source of everything. Aham prakasha sarvasya. Sorry, Krishna pointing out everything belongs to me, but what is it that he doesn't have? What is it that every living being has a choice to decide to offer or not to offer? Yes?
The ecstasy of devotional service?
No, I don't have that ecstasy yet. Even before that ecstasy comes. Mind, okay, mind. But something that's usually anonymous to the mind. No. What do we usually associate with the mind? Yes, heart. So what does that mean, heart? That means bhakti. That means bhakti. Now, heart would mean mood, attitude, desire, service. That's what. So why are we here in the material world? Because we have decided not to serve Krishna. But when we decide to serve Krishna, so that's when we, what means, like here it said, Srimati Radhika is a transformation of Krishna's love. So when you have love, that means what? That means you give your heart to someone, no? So that's the point. So it's never by force, it's voluntary. So Krishna cannot force anyone, neither he wants, neither he will. I mean, he could kind of, but then it wouldn't be voluntary. No? And it's not love. Then it's by force. And that's not going to last. So the only thing that Krishna doesn't have, it's love. He wants love. He wants to, just like maybe you might have experience on this. Like now we were in South India, and there were so many puppies. We were walking in the streets and villages, and so many outside different places here and there. And somewhere or other, there were so many puppies this season. It's like, and they were all, they were all looking for someone or something to, someone who will reciprocate. And if you would just say something little, they'll start running immediately. It's like, so they're looking for love. Every living being is looking for love. And then also you see, like this, how do you feel when somebody approaches you with such mood of surrender? Your heart also melts in some ways, no? Oh, and you appreciate, wow, there's a living being who needs to be taken care of, who wants to be sheltered, who, like this. And then you also feel very pleased by that kind of surrender. So it's just similar like this when the devotee, or living being, better to say, is not devotee yet, maybe, but maybe beginning to become a devotee. It's trying to surrender. Krishna also appreciates that surrender. The more one is surrendered, the more Krishna will appreciate, or the more you will appreciate. Let's say the more, do you like, let's say you want to, sometimes people find pleasure that everybody runs away from them. I think they're so, powerful and that they can scare everyone away, and that, sometimes there is some ghastly pleasure like that. That nobody can touch them or something. There's some pleasure like this, but there is also pleasure when you see when everybody comes to you. That's much greater pleasure actually. It's much more relishable because it's definitely much purer. It's much more relishable pleasure. So like that, when I mentioned this example of puppies, do you like puppies run away from you, or you like puppies coming to you? How do you feel when you face both cases? How do you feel that? If somebody is running away from you, they feel threatened, they feel fear, they feel something's wrong, and then you won't feel so nice, right? You won't feel so nice. But when somebody comes to you, then you feel much more blissful, much more happier, much more satisfied. That means there is some purity. Otherwise, if they feel fear, I feel some negative vibrations or whatever it is, that then we can understand something's wrong with us, because we are not attracting other living beings. They don't feel confident. They don't feel secure. So like this, Krishna's only missing thing that he doesn't have is that love of other living beings. And that's what he's looking for. And that's why, of course, he doesn't need anyone or anything. He's Atma Rama, fully self-satisfied. But it increases his pleasure when he sees that somebody else wants to take his shelter. Somebody else wants to reciprocate with him. Somebody else wants to engage whatever they have with him. Somebody else wants to approach him. Somebody else wants to take shelter. That's what Krishna appreciates. And then if he feels more and more obliged also to those who fully surrender. Those who are independent, just like the example is given. Small child is fully, where is that small fellow? It's gone out? Okay. So it's fully dependent, and he draws all the mercy upon himself, right? All the attention. And then when they grow up and start jumping here and there, going, then they're not so dependent, but they're still dependent. So parents don't, okay, still they, they're supervision. And then when they come to teenage age, then they can't control anybody. It's just like completely gone in. But then we're not so worried. I mean, you're very much worried, but there's nothing much you can do because they're independent. So in the same way, so Prabhupada said that what is the position of a real devotee? He said he will cry for Krishna, just like a child cries for its mother. That's position of dependence. If you're that dependent, then you can understand if you're advancing in spiritual life or not. If you're not, you're independent, but then how can Krishna help you? You're independent, you're doing whatever you want to do. What can Krishna do? You're not allowing him to do. Like teenage kids or whatever, what can you do? What can parents do for them? No, they don't want them. They don't want parents to do anything. for whatever reason, and we're not discussing that. We're discussing about the mood, no? But if a child is fully dependent, then he draws all the attention, draws all the mercy, draws everything, no? So in the same way, Krishna wants that love from us. Krishna wants that feeling of dependence. Then we gain everything, from Krishna. Then he's ready. He's waiting for that. So it's not up to him, it's up to us. It's up to us to which extent are we going to declare that dependence on him. Otherwise, we declare dependence on Maya, material energy. We think we are independent, but actually we become bound, completely bound by material energy. And we slave to material energy. Not good idea. That's what we are pretty much in this, we are now in this position. So that's why the only thing Krishna is really looking for is devotional service. Because through devotion, we already discussed this earlier, as like, what is devotion? What means devotion? Devotion means expression of love. That's what it is. We say bhakti yoga. So we are doing yoga. We're not doing yoga for ourselves to become, like controllers of the universe, like Hiranyakashipu did. He did yoga. He did things that we could never imagine that it's possible to do. Maybe now if you go to Kumbh Mela and Prayag, maybe you can see somebody doing something. It's like they say, it's a wholesale market of spiritual processes. You can just see and experience anything. So many different kinds of things, so many yogas, so many this, so many that, so many bhavas and this and that. So many things going on, but mostly it's for some personal purpose. It's for some agenda is there. It's not for sake of pleasing Krishna. It's some desire maybe for liberation, some desire to gain some siddhi, some powers. Some desire to impress, some desire to gain fame, some desire to gain some recognition, some desire to gain maybe followers. It's not pure. It's not pure. So Krishna is not impressed by that. But bhakti in essence means, why are you still right now? Get out. But take this out. But what are you doing? What is this nonsense going on? But you have no brain to understand what is going on. Don't see what is going on. Who told anything? What does it matter? Why are you disturbing the class? So, confirmed. So there's so many different processes that one may be practicing in the name of spiritual life, but again, that's not so pleasing to Krishna because they're not aiming at Krishna's pleasure. They're aiming at some personal benefit, no? So that's why bhakti yoga means I'm practicing something with the idea I want to please Krishna. That's what love means. Love means something that is selfless, something that involves sacrificing for someone else. You can be a yogi sacrificing so many things, something that, as I said, we can't even imagine how they can do. How big tapasyas and austerities and so many things. But why? Why they're doing that? Are they doing to glorify Krishna? No, they're doing that for themselves. They're doing it for themselves. So that's not attractive to Krishna because it has nothing to do with Krishna. There's nothing to do with Krishna. So when we try to please Krishna, just like, let's say now, yesterday was the Kargar temple opening now. And I see devotees working very hard, sacrificing, so many things. Time, energy, trying to attend everyone in the most appropriate way and just making it. Why? To glorify Krishna. Because Krishna is going to be presiding over the temple, and Krishna is going to be the primary object of worship and everything else. It's for Krishna. So that's why Krishna appeared. Why would Krishna appear in any form if he's not pleased. He's not obliged just because somebody may do some yagya or this and that. Krishna doesn't have to appear. Krishna appears only when there is bhakti, only when there is love. Just like you don't go to places where you're not welcome actually. In essence, if you're not welcome, why would you go somewhere? You will just face so many inconvenient, unpleasant circumstances. Parties or something. He's not coming anywhere uninvited. It's not going to come. So if there is no law, and he's not obliged, just because maybe in some temple also there is some deity. If there is no proper worship, like I know some temples, sometimes I see, once a week, maybe somebody comes and does something or whatever. Why would Krishna be there? Or maybe once a month, or maybe once, who knows when. There are some places, there are temples, they don't even offer anything to Krishna. They don't offer any prasadam, any food, they don't do anything. But so why would Krishna be there? Why would Krishna be there? He's not obliged. There's no bhakti, there is no love. There was some case, I can't remember now, somebody said, somebody was cooking very nicely for himself, some pujari, somebody. Maybe I'll remember where that was, but doesn't, maybe better I don't say, but it's. And then one devotee came and then asked that pujari, are you offering something to Krishna? He said, no. He said, why are you not offering? You're cooking so much and every year now. He said, because Krishna doesn't eat onion and garlic. And I'm eating onion and garlic, so I'm not offering anything to Krishna. I said, very nice, So what kind of pujari is that? He is cooking for himself, everything, so many this and that, and Krishna is remaining hungry. What is the point? What's the point? What kind of love is that? No? What's the point of such kind of worship? So then why would Krishna be present? Why would Krishna be there? So that's why if Krishna is even offered, just like what is the most famous verse in Bhagavad Gita in terms of offering something to Krishna? Anybody knows? Anybody can? Yes, Patram Pushpan Phalam Toya Yome Bhakti Prayas. That's it. He's not asking something. He's not asking you have to offer, chapan bhog or this and that, whatever it is, No, he's just asking, but offer with what? With bhakti, with devotion. That means with some desire to please me, with some attention, with some care, with some. That's it. That's what love is. That's what we see in any relationship. If that's not there, that relationship won't last. There's no love. And what's the point? No. What's the point? If everybody's just selfish, then what's the point? There's no sacrifice. There is no desire to serve and please. What's the point? So Krishna is not interested. Krishna is not interested in anything that is so superficial, just for some business sake, like we've been doing so many things. Krishna is not interested in that. And some, it's like Prabhupada, some devotees came from Tirupati. So in Tirupati, there was one life member, very, very, very prominent, affluent person here in Mumbai in the 70s. And he was a member of League of Devotees, which Srila Prabhupada established. And he said that he suggested to Srila Prabhupada that he start spreading rumors about Radhara's Vihari. At that time, not many people were coming. And of course, this whole area was quite a remote area, away from Mumbai and so forth. So he said, he said, like just Tirupati Balaji, in previous century, in the beginning, that nobody knew about the temple. It was just a small temple somewhere, just like so many other temples. But they started spreading rumors that if you give something to Balaji, he'll give you double than that. And then, of course, maybe 50% people got something, which they would have maybe got anyway by their karma or this and that. And some who didn't, okay, nice temple, this and that, and they wouldn't say anything. And this is how things started spreading, and this is what it's today. He has, $7 million crown or something, and there are so many things. So such opulence. So he suggested that to Srila Prabhupada, and maybe we can start doing this with other Adbhuta Hari temple. We can start spreading rumors. If you give something, you'll get so much more, and this and that. And then Prabhupada replied, he said, my God does not accept bribes. That's what Srila Prabhupada replied. So it's not about business-like mentality or something. No, Krishna wants bhakti. Krishna is interested in bhakti. Krishna wants love. Krishna wants surrender. Krishna wants sacrifice. Because that's what means that you want Krishna. No? That's the whole point. Otherwise you want something else. And if you want something else, then why are you approaching Krishna? No? Why are you approaching Krishna? So Krishna is not interested in anything less than bhakti. Because again, as we said in the beginning, what is there that we can offer to God? What is it that we have that we can impress Krishna with? By some knowledge, maybe some education, some, I don't know, what kind of skills, what kind of position, influence, this and that. Okay, so that's why devotional service. Krishna is attracted by devotional service. So what is the particular attraction that makes the Supreme Lord enthusiastic to accept devotional service? And what is the nature of such service? The Vedic scriptures inform us that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Absolute Truth, is self-sufficient, and that Maya, nations, can never influence him at all. Therefore, such potency that overcomes the Supreme must be purely spiritual. Such a potency cannot be anything of material manifestation. The bliss enjoyed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead cannot be of material composition, like the impersonalist's conception of the bliss of Brahman. Devotional service is reciprocation between two, and therefore cannot be located simply within one's self. Therefore, the bliss of self-realization, Brahmananda, cannot be equated with devotional service. So that should be also understood, that there are different aspects of the absolute. That one can understand the absolute simply like if you want to understand this book, you will see the back side, I'm seeing the front side, somebody else will see it in the sides, and there are different ways, different views, different positions, and each and everyone can claim, no, this is what this book is like. And somebody who has the book, then he will understand, wow, it's not just this or this or this, it's all of this. No? And it's not anything else that somebody might be saying, but it's what we can perceive in to full extent when we have the book. So in the same way, there is Brahman realization, which is partial, localized, which is Paramatma realization, and then absolute, fully absolute, which is Bhagavan realization. That means realization of a person. Krishna is a person. So if somebody says that just bliss of Brahman in personal realization, it's sufficient, that's not purely spiritual. It's partially spiritual. It's not incorrect, but it's not complete. So that's why if you talk about bhakti, there's no bhakti in impersonal realization. There's no bhakti in liberation. There's no bhakti in just cessation of material miseries. Bhakti is something unique. Bhakti is a reciprocation between two living beings, especially with Krishna. That's the only possibility of having bhakti. Okay, so I thought Vilas Prabhu is very enthusiastic, really loud today. Anyway, let's try to complete the purport. So the Supreme Personality of Godhead has three kinds of internal potency, namely the Hladini Shakti or pleasure potency, the Sandhini Shakti or existential potency, and the Samvit Shakti or cognitive potency. In Vishnu Purana, the Lord is described as follows. O Lord, you are the support of everything. There are three attributes, Hladini, Sandhini, and Samvita, exist in you as one spiritual energy, but the material modes which cause happiness, misery, and mixtures of the two do not exist in you, or you have no material qualities. That's why sometimes, I mean, because we mentioned Brahma Jyoti realization, or Brahman realization, you may hear of term Nirguna. Nirguna doesn't mean no qualities. Nirguna means no material qualities. No material qualities, because this is just one of the terms that you will find in Upanishads. But in Upanishads, we will also find Satchit Ananda Vigraha, Satchit Ananda Rupa, and many places. That's not Rupa, that's somebody else. Okay, let's try to focus for 5 more minutes. Just complete the purport. Hladini is the personal manifestation of the blissfulness of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, which he enjoys, by which he enjoys pleasure. Because the pleasure potency is perpetually present in the Supreme Lord, the theory of the impersonalist that the Lord appears in the material mode of goodness cannot be accepted. The impersonalist conclusion is against the Vedic version that the Lord possesses a transcendental pleasure potency. When the pleasure potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is exhibited by His grace in the person of a devotee, that manifestation is called love of God. Love of God is an epithet for the pleasure potency of the Lord. Therefore, devotional service reciprocated between the Lord and His devotee is an exhibition of the transcendental pleasure potency of the Lord. Okay, this may sound a little difficult maybe to follow. Pleasure potency of the Lord, the devotee, this, that. It's like, so what is happening now? So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had come to exhibit this. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came, as we already pointed out so many times earlier, to personally present how living entity can approach this Supreme Absolute. In which way? What is that process? What is that mood that one has to have to start developing that love towards Krishna? That Krishna will reciprocate towards that love. So Krishna himself comes as a Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He himself is teaching, guiding everybody else. Again, how to approach Krishna, how to taste that love, how to develop that love. So the potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead that always enriches him with transcendental bliss is not material. But the Shankarites have accepted this as such because they're ignorant of the identity of the Supreme Lord and His pleasure potency. Those ignorant persons cannot understand the distinction between impersonal spiritual bliss and variegatedness of the spiritual pleasure potency. The Hladini potency gives the Lord all transcendental pleasure, and the Lord bestows such a potency upon His devotee. Wow, that's a very nice conclusion. Srila Prabhupada, that's this report. So Krishna is enjoying that pleasure potency, which is His pleasure potency. But He wants to bestow this upon everybody else. So He's not keeping it for Himself. Just like when you have something, you share it, you enjoy it more. It's greater bliss. It's greater happiness. So Krishna is not just keeping that pleasure potency for Himself. He's ready to share it with everybody else. So this is what the bhakti is. Okay, any questions on this? What we discussed? Is there anything that was not understood? Must have been something. Nope. Okay. Nothing. Then I will end here because it's difficult for me to concentrate. It's like something unusual at this time. Yes, okay.
So as it is mentioned in the translation of 4.60, that Haradini energy gives Krishna pleasure and nourishes his devotees. Can you explain a bit more what is nourishes?
But this is what Srila Prabhupada pointed out at the end. Krishna gives that pleasure potency to the devotees also. He shares that pleasure potency for everybody. So it's nourishing everybody. We are all looking for pleasure. What is Rama means? It's somebody who gives pleasure. Krishna means all attractive. Hare, the energy of the Lord. So we approach the energy of the Lord, who is presenting us to the someone who is the source of absolute pleasure, and somebody who is all attractive. So Haladini potency is that medium. So she also nourishes the devotees by bringing them, what we were discussing earlier, bringing them closer to Krishna. And that's how devotees derive the pleasure. There's no pleasure derived from material world. That's why we say it's all Maya, it's illusion, it's just some conception that we have, that we might gain something out of it, but we never do. We never do. Always end in frustration, disappointment. So the real pleasure that every living entity is looking for can be only gained in relationship to Krishna. So what is that pleasure? That pleasure is the expansion of the pleasure potency of Krishna. So she's nourishing, she's not different than Krishna, Srimati Radharani, and that pleasure potency, but the pleasure also, we also experience that pleasure. That's why it says that gopis, manjaris, everybody else, there's 1,000 times removed, 1,000 times more pleasure one receives than, because they receive all of that through all the other devotees who are, all the potency, multiplied potency of all the living beings who are experiencing pleasure with Krishna. Whoever serves that line of devotees, he experiences all of that. So that's how Haladini potency nourishes everyone. Yeah. Okay, then we'll stop here. Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki jai, Prabhupada ki jai, Bipin.